The following is brought to you by paulakers.net.
Okay, so today we're going to St. George, Utah. It's beautiful there, and we're going to visit Adam and Danny's company called Prestige Woodworking. They're a small cabinet shop, and this is what I used to do for a living, so this is near and dear to my heart. I'm a woodworker, and what you're going to see today hopefully will blow you away, because it blows me away, and I'm a cabinet maker, because it is such a small footprint that they're working in. And how they're pulling this off is unbelievable, and there are so many other great components that Adam's going to tell us about. So Adam, it's all yours.
All righty then. So welcome to Prestige Woodworks. We've been in business since early 2014. I am Adam. I am 34 years old. My business partner, Danny, is my best friend from high school, same age. So not only are we new to lean, but we're new to business. So we're a little bit young and dumb and just trying to figure things out. But lean has helped us with that immensely. To see what makes us unique, we can log right onto our website here, and just right on our website, we throw it out there for everybody to see. These are the videos of our 2-second improvements that we do every single day. That is what makes us unique, because it keeps us ahead of the curve. It makes it so that we can continuously solve the problems that we are facing, so that we can be prepared for the future. This is a little shot of our shop before we started our lean progress back in 2015, December of 2015, so almost 2016. You could see here there was a lot of stuff in process, a lot of overproduction, excess inventory, and this was a clean day. The next day, you would have seen all of these parts here sprayed and scattered throughout the entire shop, and you wouldn't have been able to move without damaging something. We were just constantly working in processes, one process at a time. We would cut all the wood, we would mill all the wood, we would prep it and sand it and spray it all at the same time. And it was so stupid, but we didn't know. That's the way we had always worked. We grew up doing woodwork, and we had worked in several other shops, and it's like, yeah, cut all the wood at the same time because you got the machine set up. But we realized through error and all sorts of fun stuff that was the wrong way to go. This was the very first kitchen we ever did. It was tiny in comparison to the things we're doing nowadays. And we, of course, batch flowed everything. We built all of the frames, we sprayed all of the parts, we built all of the boxes. And the day we went to put those boxes to the frames, half of them were wrong. We were scheduled to go out and install those cabinets, and we had to tell them, sorry, we're going to be there like a week later or something, because there's only 2 of us. We got to go rebuild all of the cabinets for your house and figure everything out. So we were learning hard lessons. This was the next home that we did, again, with just Danny and I. And it took us several months to build the cabinets for this house. This is just the kitchen. Obviously, there's several other rooms with cabinets throughout the home, but months was a long time. And it was extremely hard for us to predict anything. So we're like, how long is that going to take? I don't know. It's going to take me several days to do each process, and we'll see. But one day, this guy right here, who you will meet in person very soon, his name's Ben Packer. He was our hardware salesman. He would bring us our hinges, glides, plates, all of the things that we need to make our cabinets work. He kind of looked at us and he was like, hey, you guys could do this better. And he handed us these 2 books, and he said, read these 2 books and you'll start to see what you could do better. Now, I read these 2 books and something broke in my brain, literally. I couldn't sleep for an entire week straight. The voice of my old boss mowing lawns when I was growing up as a kid was ringing in my head. Quit being a dumbass. Move the garbage can to you. Don't keep walking to the garbage can. Just work smarter, not harder. So I stayed up for an entire week thinking, oh man, if we could only build a few cabinets a day, we'd be rich. It'd be amazing. And then I ended up in the nut house. So I spent a night there, and they sedated me to the point that I could function normally again. After that, though, we had changed so many things that homes that took us months to build, still just with 2 of us, creating processes and cutting our batch flow down to bite-sized things that we could handle, took homes from months to weeks. no other changes, no machinery, no space, no anything, just constant lean improvements. We immediately instigated morning meetings, even though there were only two of us. We're just sitting up here by ourselves, hanging out. We were learning sign language and all sorts of stuff back then, because we'd have our headphones on and we'd look at each other and be like, I'm gonna go pee. So we didn't have to talk all day long. Kind of nice. But our biggest focus was on constantly cutting our batch flow to get to as close as a one-piece flow as possible, which is something we are continuing to work on. In the future, we plan on doing a one-part flow so that we're only focusing on one little part of a cabinet at a time, which is going to be extremely beneficial for everybody. It all comes down to habits, the habits of morning meeting, the habits of lean improvement time, the habits of constantly looking at your work and fixing what bugs you. If you don't have those habits in place, you're just going to keep grinding. I just had flashes of myself as a really old man with gnarled hands, writing all over my hands, calluses, still trying to build cabinets when I was 80 years old. And I was like, this isn't going to work for me. So I'm going to put these habits into place that Paul Akers teaches in his book, 2 Second Lean, and I'm going to figure things out. So we started doing that. We even incorporated one of our own habits. We call it First Friday Fun Day. The first Friday of every month, we don't do any production, and we get really deep into trying to figure things out. This was a scale model I whipped up one day when we were trying to figure out the flow of the cabinets, and we're trying to make sure that it would flow properly and everybody could work less and get more done. So that's a little history tour. One big benefit we've seen is we went from pulling all-nighters. Danny and I would literally work all night several times a week to try and hit deadlines, to now a 6-hour workday. We only have 6 hours of production time per day to accomplish way more than we ever accomplished in the past. And our cabinets are getting better quality all the time, more custom, more complex, and more beautiful all the time. And we're still working less, which has been such a dramatic change that I can't even begin to describe it other than, hey, incremental improvement. So there's our history. Now we're going to dive into welcome to Prestige and go through the process. This right here is the entire office, break room, lunchroom, showroom, everything. So we actually invite our customers here. They sit right across from me where Zach is with the phone right now, so that they can see my face and I can see their cute face. And we can go over all of their information. I actually precursor all of my design meetings with my customers with information, because information is extremely key. And while we may function as a lean business here, it's really hard to function as a lean business with other subcontractors, contractors, and clients without helping them understand how we do things. So all of the slides built into this slideshow that I give to the customers are crappy lessons learned, things that we've run into in the past that have screwed us up. And I'm like, hey, I'm sick of struggling. I'm going to fix what bugs me. I'm going to teach my clients before we even start. So this is a really shortened version. The long version takes about 15 minutes, but we teach our clients about cabinet types and wood types. We say, hey, we build these beautiful inset cabinets, and wood is natural and it will come in different colors. It is not IKEA furniture. It won't all be the same exact grain pattern and same color throughout. We teach them about billing and how, guess what? You're not on our calendar if you don't give us money. And because prices are crazy fluctuating right now, you're not locked down until you sign on the dotted line saying that everything is selected and everything's ready to go, which helps us immensely, because then people will actually make decisions and keep going. We talk about communication, how we're going to keep in contact with them, how frequently. That way we can keep them happy. It's kind of like those shipping notices when you log into UPS or something and you see, hey, my thing is in Billings, Montana, and it's on its way. We keep those clients happy by communicating with them, and it keeps our calendar happy by putting them in the right place. We talk to them about requirements. A lot of people are like, yeah, just put the cabinets in. And we're like, no, don't damage my cabinets, because I don't want to have to fix them, and I'm going to charge you if I do. So put us in after all these rough, gruff guys who keep beating everything up, and make sure your house is at the right temperature, or you're going to beat them up real bad. We talk about timelines and how basically We will do our absolute best to meet your timeline. However, with the crazy fluctuation that construction is having, especially here in St. George, Utah, we're exploding. Our city is massively exploding right now. A lot of homes are being delayed, and we adjust accordingly, but we have to tell people, hey, guess what? Your house delayed, and we're going to be there at this time now. So we set them up for success right off the bat by communicating with them well so that they understand what to expect. And again, that was all things that bugged me, things that caused lots of frustration and strife over time. And I was like, I got to fix this. I got to communicate this. At first, I just put it all into a contract. And I was like, yeah, sign this contract. Guess how many people like to read contracts? 0. So I thought, hey, I'm going to take the major points of that contract and I'm going to teach them before we even get their money.
So Adam,
yes.
So you basically made it visual and you made it fun and more interesting. So you actually, the information was disseminated to the customer successfully instead of you re-answering the question 5 times.
Absolutely. I can lock eyes on them and I can say, you got it. Say,
good. Excellent. Excellent.
All right. So from there, once I have the design meeting, so I go through our design process here. These notes are all from our last meeting on this very job. I'll pull up this, we'll go through with the client, we'll show them their house plans, make sure everything's looking exactly like they want it to. And then I send it over to my project managers. So let's head down here real quick. This used to be a little more of a showroom. There was actually some functioning cabinets in here, but again, because we are very tight on space, we had to do something. So right here, we've lined up a bunch of computers so we can have our project managers and our local nerd right here, Shay, keep track of things and take good care of us. So we've got Ryan right here. Ryan, he's one of our project managers. We're now trying to put him in a project manager position to help the project managers do their job a little quicker because he's got a lot of knowledge stuffed up in that brain. Are you unmuted? We are going to ask Ryan. That doesn't work. All right, so we're going to ask Ryan what his favorite lean improvement has been, or why you enjoy working for a lean business.
I do a lot of lean improvements on our program, our cabinet program, that you can see right here on the screen. It builds everything that we do. So I'm trying to get it so it looks perfect. Everything comes out perfect so the shop doesn't have any questions. So the main thing that happens is I make little tweaks in the background and it ends up saving time down the line. Instead of having to rebuild an entire cabinet, you just have to click a couple buttons. And honestly, that's my favorite part of lean, is that it just saves you time. And so then you have more time to do other things. Adam talked about how much production time we have and how it's shrunk down. But because of these improvements, we've been able to do more with that time.
Okay. All right. So continuing on here, I'm going to bother Trayson really quick. One improvement Trayson made recently. He's a gamer, a little bit of a nerd. He bought these special mice that you can program shortcuts into the side. And he has saved massive amounts of time by creating shortcuts for standard dimensions and other things that we're constantly having to input into our program by just clicking one button. So talk about 2-second lean. I mean, how many seconds are you saving per button?
At least 3.
At least 3. And how many times are you pushing those buttons per day?
Thousands
of times. So
wow,
simple solution. It already existed. He just said, hey, this could be extremely beneficial. And we standardized it, put it on all of the computers here. It's a bit of a learning curve, especially for people like me and Zach behind the phone here who aren't super computer savvy.
Adam?
I don't play video games. Yes.
So that is a gaming mouse. It's not a mouse designed for what he's doing.
It is a gaming mouse. Yes.
Interesting.
It's for playing video games. So continuing on, we've got Shay here. Shay is our everything. He is the heart of the business. He is our water spider. He's our Kanban guy. And he also creates many, many lean improvements to manage the organization of the information for the business. So Shay, what is one of your favorite lean improvements, or why do you enjoy working for a lean business?
So they brought me up into the office about 1.5 years ago. The information was scattered between Word documents and spreadsheets. And as well as we were physically making tally marks on here to count the materials that we needed to order. And it just blew me away that that's how we were doing things. And so I created a thing called the PMC, or the Project Manager Checklist, which outside of Mosaic, our design program, stores all the information you need for the job. So everything they need to order for materials. It also has the bids in there as well, that information, and all the rooms and what we need to order in those rooms. So it changed everything because we had no way to organize information. So we went from nothing to now we can reference back continually a year away from a project that we started.
Wow.
And now they want to go ahead with it. We can now reference back to it. Because before we had
Fantastic.
going on.
So Shay was actually an installer for us at first, and we recognized that he was trying to do a really good job all the time. He was timing himself, and he was creating these little spreadsheets to track his own time. And over a small evolution of time, we realized that he was handy enough at that and understood the entire process from being at the end of it, that basically he created his own job position. Whether or not he loves that, we'll find out at some point. But like he said, I was running everything up front and it was garbage. And he stepped in and was like, how do you even keep track of things? I was like, all in here, buddy. See solution. All right. So from here, we're going to show you our bathroom because everything starts in the bathroom, right? Here's our bathroom. This is going to give you a good glimpse at how big our shop is. I live in a home that is just under 1,500 square feet with a family of 7. And I feel like screaming some days because there's just no room. We live with a family of 16 here in under 1,200 square feet, hence the tiny, tiny bathroom. But just like Paul says, start in the bathroom. So we've tried to create good habits and good examples of what we want to see throughout the business here in the bathroom. So we've got some good visual cues. We've got our 2-bin system created. Because we are custom people, we like to create custom things, even though it creates a little inflexibility. But we've 3D printed a whole bunch of fun little 2-bins for our 2-bin system so that we can drop our Kanban cards right in them. We don't do that for everything. In fact, you can see right here, this is the simplest 2-bin in the world. It's got the card right on top of it because it already comes in a box. So as soon as we bust that box open, we'll pull that card off, get it ordered. And then when the new box arrives, it's already in his own bin. So we're not going to waste too much time on being crazy. But
Adam?
Yes, Paul.
I love that you put that Kanban slot in that little 3D printed thing. I think that is the coolest thing ever. Even if it's crazy, it's the coolest thing that you did that.
It's been really fun. I bought a 3D printer for my house and started tinkering. And then we bought 3D printers, and Zach has one. A few of my other employees have one. So we've just been nerding out a little bit on those.
So basically the air freshener has the Kanban's been pulled on that. Is that correct? Is that why the Kanban's not there?
It's got the second bin behind it.
Oh, I see. There's a second bin. Got it. And there's the Kanban. Yeah, very clear.
Very much
wow,
so.
that's just so cool.
So one thing we're pushing and implementing as hard as we can here at Prestige Woodworks is point and call. I read the book Checklist Manifesto, which actually some people in the lean community suggested to me. And we went to Fast Cap and toured them, and they had what they call B solutions, which are nice steps and solutions to doing your job correctly the first time without having to work too hard. And we're pushing to take that even a step farther to actually point and call our lists here. So every single time someone comes in to clean the bathroom, when it's their morning meeting, they clean the bathroom just like at Fast Cap. First off, if they've never done it before, there's a QR code so they can watch a training video so they can get caught up on the most current version. But then after that, they will physically point and call, and the double checker will physically point and call as well. Start timer. So we're going to start our timer because timing is super important. If we don't have information to work with, we can't predict the future. Then we are going to dust the fart fan. So we're going to take out our cute little Kaizen foamed cleaning kit here and start with dusting the fart fan. Dusted the fart fan, check. Next, dust the lights. We're dusting the lights, check, and finally dust the storage cabinets. We'll go through and dust all of these storage cabinets. The trick to point and call, if you've watched any of the awesome Japanese videos that are out there, is that it activates the front part of your brain, which is what separates us from animals. We can have habits. Habits are great. They keep us from having to overthink things all day long, like walking and talking. However, our habits can fail us. If we're going through this list and we're like, yeah, I got this, we can easily skip a step. And with a very, very tied flow, which you will see, as soon as someone skips a step and screws up, it binds up the entire process. So unlike producing gadgets and gizmos, every single person in our production line is tied to the next person one way or another. So as soon as they skip something, it all comes crashing down.
Adam, I just want to
Yes.
make one comment for everyone. You said that you learned the B solution from us at FastCap, correct?
Yes.
I want to make sure everyone's clear. That is not our idea. We learned that, I believe, from Greg Glebe at Xylem Design, and Greg Glebe learned it from SnapCab from his good friend. So that didn't come from us. I just want everyone to know we learned it from someone else.
All right.
As we learn everything from everyone else.
Yep, that's the beauty of it. So we're all just sharing these ideas. So before we step out into the shop, it's tiny, it's condensed, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. So we threw together this little scale model so that we could kind of preface it and show you how things work before we go out there. So here's our cute little office up here. We are going to go through a door right here and enter the shop. On this side, we've got a spray booth where everything gets finished, but the flow really starts right here. So this section is what we call our face frame build section. We build hardwood face frame cabinets. Look at that cute little bugger that one of my employees built. So we build hardwood face frame cabinets, and that process starts right here. As soon as that frame is built, it gets staged over here where we have a very small buffer of face frames to allow the glue to cure properly. Then this section will prepare that by sanding it, getting the doors and stuff ready. They will place it on a cart. That cart will then go into the spray booth here. It will get its first coat here, and then its second coat here, its final coat here. Then it'll come out into this build section where everything will get assembled. This guy over here is the only Enigma that does a little bit of batch flow. He is the guy that cuts all of our parts. So his flow is circular. He will cut all the parts. He'll get them over to build so they can build those cabinets. From time to time, he'll throw over some finished interior parts to these guys to get into this flow. But for the most part, it's a nice circular flow here with a larger circle or U shape surrounding it. And then out the door they go. So let's go ahead and step into the shop and we'll walk. Yes.
Yeah, that was an extraordinary example of how everything works. You did it perfectly. And I want to emphasize, you realize how small this place is with 15 people? It's like someone's large living room that you're pulling all this off. It's incredible. How many kitchens are you producing a week? One a week, one a month? How many, what's the average?
So that's the tricky part. Right now, I don't know where all these people are getting this money, but our average house size right now is getting closer to 10,000 square feet, which is just mind-boggling for me because I'm a poor kid in a townhome with 7 people in my family. But it's taking us roughly 2 to 3 weeks per large-scale home.
Right,
some of the smaller, more reasonable-sized homes we're getting done in 2 to 3 days.
Excellent. Wow.
Okay, so
amazing.
Let's head out into the shop. I will speak as loudly as possible because the shop is functioning. So let me know if we need to speak up a little louder. But here we go. Watch your head. There's stuff everywhere. So we're gonna head on over here to our face frame build section. We got Nate here building an actual hardwood face frame. As soon as he's done with that, it'll get thrown over there. One of my favorite lean improvements that Nate made, because it bothered the heck out of me, these green stripes right here indicate there is a support behind that. So you can't put your clamps in there. Everybody just dealt with it. They were like, oh, I can't fit one there. And they would try a million times. And he's like, well, that's stupid. And he just painted it and said, hey, don't put a clamp there because it's not going to work. So
Brilliant.
Nate, let me throw this in your ear over here. All right. Nate is actually our newest employee. Nate, what do you enjoy about working at a lean business, or what is your favorite recent lean improvement you've made?
I think I've decided that my favorite thing working for a lean company is essentially employee empowerment. You give me the freedom to see a problem and fix it. It makes my day easier. I don't have to worry about struggling to get you to find solutions for me. I can make my own solutions.
Perfect. You can fix what bugs you anytime. Wonderful. All right. Thanks, Nate.
So that was interesting, Adam, what he said. I don't have to worry about getting a unified solution. So he doesn't have to wait for this big machine to make a decision. Is that essentially probably what he's trying to say?
Yeah, no red tape. The only thing we've asked our employees to do, especially our new guys, is to just question the leadership. Hey, has this been done before? Because we have seen a little repeat cycle in the past where people go with preferences rather than facts. And we're trying to eradicate that. But as soon as they ask the leadership, hey, has this been done before? It's like, nope, give it a try. Awesome. Here we go.
Wow.
All right. So from here, he'll build that face frame and set it over in a little staging area. And then we come out into this prep stage here. So here we've got another example, and you'll see it in every single section of a point and call. You've got your point and calls for your setup and cleanup time. And up here, the largest and most obvious one is a point and call for the standard production items that are happening in this section. So Gavin here, who is our next newest employee, you've only been here for how long, Gavin? Only a month? Okay, this goes in this year. Sorry. All right, Gavin's only been here for a month, which means Nate has been here for even less time. Gavin, what is your favorite lean improvement that you've made in your area here?
Calling this right here, this used to be right here, and we actually had a whole other shelf right here called flooded. Picture right here, it's more accessible and tilted it up, so see our tools better, more visible.
Perfect. So one really awesome thing about this lean improvement that Gavin made, most of it happened during production time, and I will tell you how and why. We've got up here a tack timer. That tack timer is trying to keep the drumbeat of the shop. Our shop manager is in charge of that tack timer. And what he does is every single time that timer ends, we shift our product. If someone is not ready to shift the product, we pause. And because there are so many sections with such little space, we usually just have the manager go over, try to assess the situation and help them resolve their issue. And everyone else just moves on to the next best thing. So Gavin moved on to working on that little lean improvement project and got it accomplished within, I think, just a single day. I was actually back here observing, and he just kept working on it over and over again until he was actually done with it. So
incredible. It's incredible that you're doing this.
Yeah, I'll show you how that tech timer works a little bit. So this cart is our handcuffs, but there are happy handcuffs. They keep us from overproducing, and they keep us from stressing and overwhelming. So what happens is as soon as Gavin's got this part prepared, looks like he's got about 7 minutes left to get it done, he's gonna get it on this cart, and we're gonna yell out, everybody ready to shift? And we're gonna shift this cart right here into the spray booth. Now this spray booth was kind of a brainchild of this guy right here, Tyson Jones. He is our shop manager. He worked at a different business that Danny and I both worked at growing up. And we tried stealing him for years. And as soon as we got this idea from him, we used to have a sea of carts out here, 7 or 8 different carts with cabinets on them, because we were trying to wait for the process to dry. We were constantly waiting for cabinets to dry and just cycling those carts through. And it caused a lot of struggle, confusion, overproduction, excess inventory. We didn't know where we were half the time. Like, what code are we on? I don't know. Which cabinet's getting built next? That's a great question. But we talked to Tyson and we were like, hey, man, what could you do? What could we do? This is before he even worked for us. What could we do to simplify this and speed it up. And he said, you're using polyurethane, right? And he said, yeah, polyurethane is the best. We only want the best. And he said, you could use UV light to try to cure them faster. And we did a lot of tests. We started with a fingernail polish cure station, and we shoved a little piece of wood in there and cured it. And we just scaled it up and up and up until I was working with these UV lights in the office, testing parts over and over and over again to see how much it sped it up. So Tyson, since we stole you, it's really important that we know why you finally were willing to let us steal you over time. Because it took us, what, 2.5, 3 years for you to actually commit?
About 3 years on and
All
on.
right.
A lot of conversations.
A lot of conversations.
I came from a very, very comfortable place at a job that paid just enough, and they espoused lean. It was one of those situations where they picked and chose the parts of lean they wanted to have and incorporate, and it was the ones that benefited the leadership in that company the most. And so to get any actual progress made on the ground level on the floor where the guys are grinding every day, it was pulling teeth. There's too much red tape. You had to go through committees and processes and proposals and then budgeting, and it just everything got caught in that slog. And actually, this booth was a big contributor to me coming over here. It was literally a suggestion, a confidence conversation. It was just like, hey, maybe think about this. The next time I came back over here, it was done. And as I've come here, I've come to find out that that's the way this is. Like, these guys sacrifice, they put out to make this better. And it's worth the change for sure.
Amazing answer.
All right. So we finally got Tyson. We won him over. He came over, and now he's helping us maintain this flow. So we will see in about 3 minutes that flow actually happens. So these guys are working on technically the process for one cabinet at a time. Push me out of the way if you need to. So they start in reverse order. They do the top coat, the final coat for their item, so that it can be drying as much as possible before it gets out to build. Then they do their mid coat, and then they do their base coat. So it's as if it were one cabinet. However, it's potentially 3 cabinets or 3 parts of a massive combination cabinet. In this example, we actually do in fact have 3 separate cabinets. So we have the doors, we have the face frame, and we have any parts that are needed to get this cabinet rolling correctly, so that when it comes out the other side, it's ready to be built. So now let's travel on over to the build section so that you can see that end of the shop. So as soon as those cabinets are dry, they get spit out into this area right here. And this is the do not touch this rack because it's still drying. But as soon as we push them all and this rack turns, they unload it and start building the next cabinet. So right now we've got Ben Packer. Come on down, Ben. I'm gonna give you my earphone because it caused some crazy feedback using your own earbud. So Ben Packer is that lean disciple, lean missionary who was like, hey guys, you're dumb, you can do it better. But he was way nicer than that. He didn't tell us we were dumb, even though he probably knew we were. So Ben brought us those books, and it took us another 3 years to convince him to come our way too. Because again, we're just poor kids trying to figure things out, and he had a pretty good job. So Ben, why do you like working for a lean business?
Waste is everywhere. Finding people that are committed and put their money where their mouth is rare. And it took me 2 years just watching and thinking and watching and thinking to realize that these guys really are committed and they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're not just saying we're lean, they're doing it. And sometimes it's crazy, but it's always fun. And that's why I wanted to be a part of it.
Ben, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think that was a very powerful statement. You said finding people that are really committed, because most people are not really committed to finding waste.
Well, and when they invited me as not an employee, but as a friend of their business to come up and tour Fastcat, something that I had wanted to do for a long time. I knew that they were serious, and that was that it showed to me that they're committed to doing it, whether I was a part of their organization or not. And that's why I did want to be a part of the organization.
Ben, where did you work before? What distributor? What hardware distributor?
We're Lewis and Company.
Okay, Lewis and Company. Wow, what a journey!
And it's been awesome. I learned so much there, but this was the right step at the right time, and it's been so much fun. So the last 4 months have been the most fulfilling months I've had in years.
Wow!
All right,
amazing.
So we got.
Well, thank you.
17 seconds left before they shift the carts here. So Ben has his cabinet mostly built, and the reason he doesn't have it completely built is because this cabinet, monetary wise, is worth a lot more money than a simple little base cabinet. So we actually separated that into 2 parts. So this is the other part of that cabinet, and he just waited. There's no reason to rush. He waited to put that on so that it could be completely dry, ready to go. So everybody's rotating right now. He's rotated that cart. You can see the spray booth push that cart out, so it's ready to go. They're rotating all the other carts and pushing a new clean cart over to the prep area so it can get started again. So now 14 minutes, we'll do it all over again. And that's how it works. It doesn't look like we need to pause right now, which is awesome because that means we're making more money. But if there were a reason anywhere for us to pause the system, we would absolutely do it and give whatever section it was the time necessary to catch up. We're trying to create the system so that there are as few pauses as possible so everybody can feel like they're achieving something. So we've actually lengthened that tax time so that they can accomplish their goal as often as possible. So here is the one enigma of the shop. This is Cut. Clearly he is ahead, so he's not rushing too hard for it, which is good. You can see he has a nice little point and call right here. His is super simple. At the start of every single batch, he'll get a drink first because he's one of the hardest working guys here, always lifting things, always working hard. He'll familiarize himself with the paperwork so that he can ask any questions before he gets started. He'll really quick check the blade to make sure it's the right blade for the right material. And then he will point and call every single dimension on that paperwork. That way, when he's pointing and saying 68, he can run over here and point and call and say 68 and make sure that he hits it just right every single time. So that's Kyler right there. He's cutting some things you can see over here. He's got an entire cart full of parts so that these guys can pull from them and build. We usually only cut up to 4 cabinets at a time so that he's not over processing or overproducing and filling the entire shop with parts. We don't want overproduction. We don't have space for overproduction. Excess inventory kills us. So we've, again, created some happy handcuffs. He only has 2 carts. He has a cart that he's currently filling and processing, and he has a cart that is being used up by the build section. If they're both full, work on a lean improvement project. Go get a drink, take a break. Don't overwork yourself because there's 0 reason to do that. So that's basically the flow of the entire shop itself. But we do have a little more to show you outside here. As soon as the cabinets are built, obviously they go right in a trailer. We do our best to take really good care of them. We've got AC units that we've tried to build into our trailers because it is freaking hot as hell right now. We're in 115 is the average temperature over the last few weeks. We don't want our cabinets to get damaged, so we put them right in here with this nice air conditioner running. And as soon as this trailer's full, we try to get it to where our installers, who we don't get to see today, sadly, because they're out on site, they take this trailer the day it's full and try and get it out to the site, get it staged, and start installing it. But here's a little more of the head work, the stuff that the project managers take care of. Because we're so short on space, we've had to utilize a few of the storage units from our next door neighbor here to store some items. This right here is the inventory purchased and ordered for a single job. Usually it's a job per side. However, this is one of those jobs that I can't remember, is this 15,000 square feet? It's massive. This guy's got a gun range in his basement, crazy money. So this is actually one entire job. This has the doors, the frame material, the crown molding, the drawer box material, all of the rollouts and specialty items. And if you peek back in here, Zach, if you peek way out at the back, you can see that the next doors up have actually been organized by the project managers into rooms so that when the guys in the shop come out to get the next room, you can see, hey, everything right here is the kitchen. This is Lily's vanity right here. And this is room 21 and room 4. So the guys can come out and easily get their job done, even though there's a lot of material for this job.
So Adam,
that's,
again,
yes.
great visualization on everything. So we're seeing that everywhere throughout your facility. Nobody's confused about what's going on and where things go because of the way you're doing things.
Exactly. And you can see even another small example of that right here. These little placards have the name of the project manager and the name of the job. Super simple. Just use a wet erase marker, scribble it on there. That way, if anybody in the shop does have a question, they can be like, oh, this is a different job. Oh, but what is this? Let me go ask Trayson really quick and figure out if I can use that.
Beautiful.
This is our waste right here. So this is all overflow material that was left over from jobs. We always pull from this first if we can to stock the next job before we place orders. And these little bins are all odds and ends from jobs that aren't quite finished yet. Now, with the size of houses we're doing and the amount of houses we're doing, I'm fairly proud of this. It's fairly minimal. It could be better. I would like that it just doesn't exist at all. And we're working towards that to get our full projects in a one-piece flow, but we're getting very, very close. Over here is our grocery store. Again, because of spatial constraints, most of our two-bin systems have been created out here. Our Shea guy that we showed you up front, he is our water spider, but for the most part, he only stocks a few people in the shop. He stocks the spray guys because we need the chemicals in safe places. And he stocks a few other items that get used on a very, very strict and frequent basis. However, built into the guys' morning setups or cleanups, depending on their preference, they have it on their point and calls to come out here, grab from this two-bin system, and stock their areas before they get to work. Again, so that 6 hours of work that we do a day is just killer. We just want to get stuff done. So in here, we have our two-bin system created where we have possibly an entire bin working in the shop and then a bin out here. Again, I like simple and easy. So if something already comes in a bin, I'm not going to make a bin for it. Eventually, we may get there or create some more structured storage for it, but there's already a bin and I can flip the card right here. So I'm going to pull this out, drop it in, take this in, use it. It'll get ordered and get here before we need it again. So you can see that there are a few things on order, which hopefully will get here very soon. You got 150 grit, which is coming, and 220 sticky grit. Oh man, I pulled it right out. So that's the way we function with that. Over time, once we get a new shop and we're working into better systems, we will in fact move these two bins near and right in the sections so that we can turn Shea into a full-fledged water spider, because it's kind of like those guys in the shop are the boots on the ground, right? If you compare it to military, they're in the firefight. We don't want to have them looking around for ammo. We want to stock them up and have them ready to go every single day. So for now, they're stocking up in the morning or in the afternoon themselves so that they know they're stocked up, but pretty soon we're going to be stocking them up to keep those important guys rolling. So that's it in a nutshell. It's not a long tour because it's a small place.
It's amazing, Adam, what you guys have done. Absolutely unbelievable. It's such a small place, and I would have such confidence if you were building my kitchen. Just awesome. So let's go to the Q&A, right, Richard?
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions whatsoever, there was one question that came from David, and David said, is it worth paying for the storage area for waste? So Adam, could you hear that?
Yes, I did. Because of our small footprint, while it hurts my heart really bad to literally pay for waste, much like paying to empty a dumpster, it is currently necessary to give those items a home, a very organized spot, so that we don't have to try to clutter it up and shove it somewhere else. We give those items a place, right? A place for everything and everything in its place, so that we can walk out there and say, hey, this cubby spot is for this job. So any pickup items go in this spot. Over time, we will eliminate that.
Okay, so one of the question, Adam, was what does the water spider do? You want to explain that real quick?
Yeah, so the water spider, it's a very important job. First off, they will wander throughout the shop, and there are currently 3 collection points where those Kanban cards are placed. One of those collection points is actually right there. And if you take a look at that, we've 3D printed some little bins because we love 3D printing recently. But one says needs ordered, and you'll drop it in that bin. And once it's dropped in that bin, the water spider will wander around. He'll collect those cards in the needs ordered bin here. He'll place those orders. And currently our system is not wonderful, but he will place them in a waiting for delivery, which is actually GPS to the section. So you can see the Kanban card here for the bathroom is brown. See the funny irony there. And the bin is brown. For the project managers, the cards are black outlined and the bin is black. Wow. And you'll see that throughout the shop, where all of the cards and the sections and the areas are GPS to a decent ability, so that we can easily say, that goes there.
Okay, so water spider's managing the correct inventory levels of all the products that you need to make your product. Next question, are safety glasses and steel toe required in the shop?
Steel toe, we don't require. Safety glasses are. That's one thing I wander around and constantly pester people, especially the people on saws, because your eyes are goners if you don't use them. We had one guy.
Okay, go ahead.
We had one guy who legitimately only had one eye for a really long time, and man, I gave him heck all the time. Like, man, you only got one. Don't lose it.
So I don't understand this question, but I'll read it to you. What were the 3 cards in the front office? Relax, look around, something else.
Relax, look around, and make a call. So we love Jocko Willink. If you don't know who Jocko Willink is, he is a ex-Navy SEAL. He has written many business books. He's got a podcast. Like we read his stuff quite frequently. One of his 4 laws of combat is detach and observe, which is something extremely beneficial. If you can stop what you're doing, kind of look around, get your head out of this zoned in work and just say, hey, where should I really be? So to detach and observe, those are kind of the steps to get there. Relax, take a breath, look around, and make a call. And with our project managers, with our project managers, it's really important because unlike the shop, who are extremely tied to, I'm doing this next cart, they have massive amounts of information and jobs coming up. So it really does take a lot of prioritize and execute, which is another law of combat, to get their job done right.
Okay, so next question. With a 6-hour shift, what do you do for breaks, and what does that 6-hour shift look like? Can you do that real briefly?
Yeah, so we've tried to divide it up into 3 sections as perfectly as possible. So we start right around 9 or 9:30, depending on how long the setup time takes. The reason that setup time can fluctuate that much is because sometimes we'll try to have the cut guy prepare some possibly custom items ahead of time on some days so that things can flow a little more smoothly. However, from that time to 11:15 is our first little section. And then they have lunch from 11:15 to noon. From noon to about 1:45, we have our next little time block. And then we have a 15-minute break. And then from 2 till usually we end up wrapping up and going home at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon after all cleanup is said and done. But it's broken up into 3 fairly equal time blocks so that, again, much like the tack timer, we can see where we should be throughout the day.
Excellent. Okay, can you explain A, B, and C solution to everyone real quick?
Absolutely. So ABC solutions, again, was something we learned at FastCap, which Paul explained that he learned it in other places. A C solution is something that is only in your brain. So like Shay mentioned, before we dragged him out of installs and into the office, it was all in my head. And that was our downfall from day one. Danny and I work extremely well together because we've known each other for so long that without even thinking, I can get him the tool he needs, or he can get me the information I need before we even ask for it. So we were really, really poor at creating anything outside of our heads to help people work. And that's been, I mean, honestly, my biggest battle as a leader, because I've never really been much of a leader before in my past, is like, I grew up with the mentality of figure it out. Every boss I've ever had, every job I've ever had, everything growing up, school, it's just like, yeah, figure it out. And that's what C solution is. Like, somebody knows how to do it, but you're not passing the information on. So the next step up is a B solution, which is at least on paper. If you can get the information on paper, someone can potentially follow those steps and get it done correctly. But that paperwork isn't going to stop them from messing up. So the next step up from that is an A solution, which is technically a pokeyoke, which is an error-proof stop, something that keeps people from messing up, which is, it's difficult to figure out sometimes, but over time, what we've decided is those B solutions, those point and calls, are in fact our target for lean improvement time quite frequently, because if we can pokeyoke any of those steps, it's gone. And you don't have to point and call it anymore.
Perfect. And for the person that asked about the point and call, where can I learn more about that? I'm just going to tell you, go to Google or go to YouTube, put in Japanese point and call system. There's fabulous videos on it. It was all developed through the train system, and you'll understand exactly why the Japanese do it. If you go to Japan with me, you're going to see it all the time because they do it everywhere. It's fantastic. Next question. Have you considered converting your office space to standing desks?
Yes, so as you saw here, this spot is actually a standing desk. I've given everyone the opportunity to switch to either or. You can see that some of them have created some computer stands over there so that they can flip-flop back and forth throughout the day. If they get restless, they can stand up, slide their computer a little bit closer and work. But I haven't enforced it because in this age of information we live in, you can find information on both sides that say it's extremely good or it doesn't make a huge difference. I personally love it. I stand up here all day, every day, unless I'm at the shop.
Okay, so next question is, so you work 6, but you pay him for 8. Well, basically, yes. I'm going to answer the question for you, because what he does is he's developing his people. He's giving his people time to develop through the morning meeting, 3S'ing, improvement time. And that's why he pays him for 8, because he's paying 2 hours to develop. And this is the core essence of what lean is and 2-second lean believes. Correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Next question. Have a couple questions. I have a couple questions that we missed.
That's
okay, go ahead.
Paul.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Adam, Paul just mentioned you have a morning meeting. So somebody asked, do you have a morning meeting? Just give a little bit of a 10-second overview of your agenda, because we've got a bonus video that we're going to post on the AME website of your morning meeting in detail. So very briefly, what does your morning meeting consist of?
So obviously we start off with 30 minutes of lean improvement time from 7 to 7:30. From 7:30 to about 8:15, we have a group morning meeting with everybody included. That morning meeting, that portion of the morning meeting, is mostly focused on the employee himself. It's focused on personal progress, goals that they've made, how well they've kept those goals, lean improvements they've made at home, lean improvements they've made at work, to try to give them both the vision and opportunity of patting themselves on the back and seeing progress. So we say that our morning meeting has 3 purposes. 1, to assess yourself. Most people don't take the time to assess themselves. They just go throughout life. 2, to see progress. Because with any good habit, it's super difficult to see progress. It's like exercise. You can exercise for months or even years and not see a massive amount of progress. But if you stop and take the time to see the progress, you will see some. And finally, to inspire others. Obviously, we all are on a roller coaster. We have ups, we have downs. But if we can see that other people are trying and they're making awesome improvements, we can be inspired by those improvements and try to make them in our own lives as well. As soon as we're done with that very, very personal portion, we break off into sectional morning meetings where the office will meet together, the shop will meet together, and the installs will meet together so that they can go over the 8 deadly wastes, our core values, and the work for the day. That way they can, with the reason we've done it that way is they can relate those 8 deadly wastes and core values to their specific work a little bit better. Because as many of you know watching here, working with physical items and working with computers, there's a disconnect. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, you can't do lean on a computer. Absolutely you can. How much wasted motion do you have and waiting time searching through tabs and places trying to find where you're going all day? So that is our morning meeting. At that point, once they've discussed the work for the day and any potential custom items, they get after it.
All right.
Okay.
Amazing.
I got one more, Paul, before the last
Okay, go
one.
go ahead.
Okay, so we do 2-second lean because it improves safety, it improves quality, and it improves flow, and it makes our life richer. But at the end of the day, you got to make money to survive. So the question was, how has profitability grown over the last few years since you've been doing this?
So the first 3 years straight, it was just Danny and I. We only paid ourselves about $1,500 a month if we could. In fact, there were 2 solid months through those 3 years that we had nothing. Luckily, and I am a religious person, so I believe that this happened because of God for sure. Those 2 months landed on tax return months, and we got something to survive on. Like we were literally, I was living in my grandma's house for free. She was paying the utilities sometimes if I couldn't afford it. We had nothing. We are now just, it's extravagant. The amount of money and income, and we're supporting the lives of 14 other people now and trying to get it to where we pay them extremely well. There's no comparison.
So you would not have been in that position if you didn't do lean.
Yep.
Well, what's amazing is I'm a former cabinet maker, and it's very difficult to make a good living in this business. It's a challenge, and for him to say that, it's significant. So that's awesome. I wish I would have known lean when I was doing cabinet making, but unfortunately I didn't. I discovered it after. So
okay, Paul, the last question is for you. The last question is for you.
I don't know if I understand that. Go ahead. Do you understand it, Richard?
So let's read it out. In anticipation of upcoming economic recessive conditions, what are some lean solutions and ideas that relate to the processes of hiring, retaining, and training employees? Do we hire less, hire more? To retain, do we pay more or pay the same? Love some thoughts and input from you, Paul, who found success during the 2008 crisis.
Well, I would say, here's what you do. You hire what you need. It's not a function of hiring more. It's not a function of hiring less. It's a function of hiring what you need. And you can never train enough. The more you train, the more valuable your people are, the more capable they're of solving the problems that are facing all of us. So training should always be something you're constantly trying to ramp up and improve in what you're doing. And in terms of pay, I am a strong proponent of paying people. I think that people need to be compensated for their amazing power in their brain, but it's essential that it starts with the leader to develop them and teach them how. And as they do that, it only makes good economic sense to pay them well.
All right, why are morning meetings so important? First, we need to assess ourselves. We need to take some time to see who we are. We need to see progress because sometimes it's hard to see that. And finally, we need to inspire each other. So Sean behind the camera here, he had his morning meeting most recently. So we'll go through some of his morning meeting. First, we start off with some gratitude. He was grateful for his friends, giving him some treats and going to the lake with them. Those are friends and coworkers, which is awesome. We do some stretches. We look at personal goals that we set from our last meeting. Sean's been tracking his with a sweet spreadsheet that he's created. After that, we show photos of some of those goals that we've been trying to keep. We then assess ourselves, take a little life wheel quiz, see where we're needing some work, and then we make new goals based on that. So Sean will be doing his best to keep track of these goals from now till his next meeting. Then we show some fun things we've done for lean projects at home, lean projects at work. After that, just a little history tour of our own business. We will show a lean video, one of our favorite lean videos from our own business. And then we will also show a lean video from some other source. Sean went with a Jocko video. I love Jocko Willink. We use a lot of his teachings here at Prestige Woodworks. After that, we compliment someone just to make everybody happy here and give out those well dones, those pats on the back. Compliment yourself to keep yourself in the grateful mood and knowing that you are doing a good job. After that, we've got some reminders of upcoming time off. We rate people right off the bat just to show what that they could look on. So we gave Sean the focus on important goals, narrow them down, maybe do a few less goals. We give a little update on the next meeting, and we recite our definite chief aim. We are here to make life better for everyone, one creative and collaborative step at a time. After that, we split into 2 separate meetings where we go over the 8 deadly wastes and our work for the day.
Not on this slide, but generally.
So we're looking at a solid.
Brought to you by PaulAkers.net, where you'll find all Paul's books and lean resources for free, including the new 2-second Lean Play app, like Audible, but free. To listen to Lean is Lean on the 2-second Lean Play app at PaulAkers.net.